right, here we go. Here we go. We're live.
Oh wow, that was quick.
Yeah, take long.
And it's like barely 1 second delay.
Yeah.
This is Rowena Dooley asking Star Citizens to report for duty.
Oh.
Griff, you already start the countdown?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We are live.
I put the tweet and feeling alert for you, Gio.
I'm in. You know what's funny the other day, fastcart? I was watching, what was the latest episode y'all did last week? About 318? Was it? I was noticing, is it Dark Knight? I'm like, dude, why do him and fastcart look related?
Wait, what?
You and Dark Knight look related. I don't know, when I saw it, I'm like, man, why is he kind of...
See, Dark like look like your brother from another mother.
Well, don't we all?
Hey, I'm light skinned. Everyone says I look like somebody.
8 seconds.
Like,
Here we go, guys.
Asking Star Citizens to report for duty.
Who are you? We are the knights who say... Nay. No, not the knights who say nay. The same. Who are they? We are the keepers of the sacred words. Nay, Peng, and Niwam. Those who hear them seldom live to tell the tale. The knights who say nay demand a sacrifice.
Knights of Nay.
We are but simple travelers who seek the enchanter who lives beyond these woods. Nay. We shall say nay again to you if you do not appease us. Well, what is it you want? We want
A refund.
a what? Please, please, no more.
Okay, welcome everybody to Soul Citizens.
I have not seen him before.
Are you serious? Okay, let me call out two people here, Roaster Stan and Cataclysm. Now y'all know that was supposed to be a parody. We all know that's the Knights of Knee, except for fastcart, of course. Okay, fastcart, you honestly have never seen that before?
Not the refund one, no.
Oh no. Okay, y'all, I gotta explain the joke. Evidently, I gotta explain the joke.
It.
Oh,
I get it.
Oh, okay. So you've seen that before.
I get it. I've seen the original one, yeah. the real
Okay,
one.
I thought you were just saying that you hadn't
No,
seen
no,
that
no.
bit before. I was about to say, you of all people, Mr. Movies, you've never seen that? Anyway, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Soul Citizens. I hope you guys enjoyed our little fun opening. And we're back today with two of my, these are my old school counterparts from years of Star Citizen. First of all, let me introduce my co-host, fastcart. What's happening, brother?
Hello, I'm fastcart FC. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well.
And last but not least, I got to do this officially, Gio, okay? Because you and I had talked about this. Gio, Subvegio, Gio Get Money, all these names, y'all know him as Gio. Gio has officially, well, actually, he's been a part of the Soul Citizens for quite a while. We had a communication breakdown, but for the longest time, long time ago, I talked to Gio about being a part of the team. In fact, it was back when I talked to Fest FC. I think after I talked to Fastcart, because his name came up. But Gio's schedule was kind of crazy. He was working on Sundays, and that's when we just had the single show. And he's like, Griff, I'd love to be a part of it, but man, my schedule's kind of crazy. And then just a few months back, he reached out to me and said, Griff, my schedule's opened up. I got Sundays are cool. Just let me know. And I'm like, dude, you still want to be with us? He said, I thought I was with y'all. I'm like, oh, my fault, dude. So we're going to officially announce to everybody, all of our viewers, that Gio is a part of our team, and we love Gio. He's been around a long time, and he was streaming before. Well, I don't know, Gio, you were streaming back when Fastcart was like sitting in on Relay and stuff. Right. So you long time. You were streaming back in 15, 16, right?
Yeah, it was early. Well, I should say YouTubing, not streaming, because y'all
that's right,
streaming on live.
That's right. You were doing the YouTube videos. That's right.
Yeah, because I'm terrible with live stream schedules, so that's why I haven't had one yet. But yeah, I was making Star Citizen content before I even had a computer.
That's right. I remember.
I was a console peasant at the time. I was just so excited.
Yeah.
I was just excited to just talk about the game and see what was going on, and I followed it for months before I even bought a ship. Hell, I had ships before I had a computer, because I just wanted to help the project, because I've never seen nothing like this. So I need to go back to my old school self, because I'm sitting here waiting to put on my computer and play Star Citizen again. I should just make content again like I used to without even playing it. So I need to get back on that.
Yeah, well, I definitely remember. I actually forgot, but when you just said it, I remember you didn't have a computer at that time, and I remember you talked about that, and you were talking about coming over from console. And in fact, I remember you used to do a lot of commentary about Star Citizen and Elite during the development period. You used to talk about both those games. So,
sure did,
man.
And Elite was a big disappointment when I bought that. I wish I could have refunded that. I wasn't digging that game at all. But that's pretty much all the space games I've been playing. That No Man's Sky, and No Man's Sky at the time, for a lot of people who don't know, that was my Star Citizen when I was a peasant. I'm like, this game is going to be, the shit I didn't know about Star Citizen. And then everyone in the comments was like, this ain't going to have shit on Star Citizen. Then I was like, oh, I'm about to go shit on these Star Citizen dudes. And I got hooked after that. After I did the research, I'm like, no, they right.
I got a question for Gio. Gio, real quick. Did you play the Call of Duty in space game?
Oh, Call of Duty? I haven't played that probably since Modern Warfare 3 was probably the real last one I played.
Okay, so you didn't play the space one.
It was like 2017 or something when that one came out.
I remember them saying that was going to be a Star Citizen killer. I remember that part.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Well,
like, boy, you was wrong.
Yeah, they were way wrong on that. They got disappointed real quick. Ooh. Well, listen, we are here to talk with you guys about some old school stuff. As I share it with my compadres here, today's show is called the Nay-say-ers, and I want to be real clear about what this show is about. And we're going back in the clock a little bit here, because for those of you who've just gotten into Star Citizen with maybe the last year, last 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 4 years, there's a lot of stuff about the history of Star Citizen's development that you may not know about. And some of it is in relation to the industry, gamers, and the community, how they responded to Star Citizen. And for those of you who were around back in the day, you'll remember that being on the Star Citizen boat was not cool. It was, there was just a lot of, there were some excited people, but there were also people that were very negative about the project. And so what we're doing today on the show called the Nay-say-ers is we're going to be covering 14 points that we want to show you as to why some people may have not felt supportive of the game, or had difficulty with the game, or didn't believe in the game, however you want to look at it. And some of these reasons will make sense. You'll say, okay, I get it. I understand. Some of these reasons you mean like, I don't understand why they went there. But we're going to try and be very fair and even-handed about this. This is not going to be a white knight show, but it is going to be about our observations, at least my observations. And these guys, I know these guys, they're going to understand. They know all the stuff that I posted, so they're going to be up on it. We're going to give you guys examples of what we're talking about. So we first want to give you that little bit of history of nay, why we're on this whole naysaying, saying no. People who were just like, nah, it's not going to happen, or it's too, what they used to say, it was too, what's the term they would use? Chris was too ambitious. Why gamers were, gamers of all people were just like, no, it's not going to happen. It can't happen. So we're going to talk about that. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our very first of 14. We got 14 of these, y'all. And of course, you all may think of some things. If you do, feel free to drop them in chat, because there may be some stuff that I didn't think of. Okay. But we're going to hit these real quick. Some of you guys may remember that card on the screen. That was the founder's card. Now, I wasn't around for founder's cards. I think Unique is the one person in our group who does have a founder's card. Gio, you didn't get one. Fastcart, you didn't get one, right? You guys weren't getting the founder's cards. Okay. But founder's cards were cards these were the people from the very beginning who signed up and supported the game. In fact, I was on eBay last night. Somebody selling the founder's card for $2,500. Not that they're gonna get it.
$2,500? That's a steal.
Yeah, it's a steal, all right. Yeah, that's all it's made of is steel, but it ain't no steel. But the founders cards, very few people that have, there's quite a few people that have, but there are a lot of people that were around back in the early days that were founding people. And this one here, this is an example of what they looked like. There were other cards that CIG put out later. They put out a VIP, a concierge card, a black card, but the founders card, those are very, very rare cards. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into our topics. I'm going to hit them one by one.
Did they hand out some more metal cards like that later on?
That's what I'm saying. There was the concierge, VIG. Let me see. Hang on.
Concierge, VIP, black card.
I think they had a Gamescom one too. I think a long time ago.
This is one. I know you can't see it, but this is one. Okay. I've never even taken this thing out of the plastic.
Mine too.
Mine's
still in the wrapper.
I wish I had mine to whip out and flex. It's right here somewhere.
Man, listen.
Yeah, mine is in my wallet.
You can whip it out and flex all you want to. You can't even get a Coke with that bad fella right now. But you know what?
Hey, man,
but you know what? No, you know what that card?
For 2,500.
Wait, you know what that card was good for? Seriously?
Events.
It was for events. When you went to CitizenCon, they had a concierge lounge. If you were a concierge, where you got to go where there was a private bar and you had a view of the city and everything from up there, and people who were considered concierge, they could specifically go to that place and hang out and talk. And from my understanding, CIG kind of wanted to create that at different levels at one point, which is why in game we have the the Million Mile High Club, and then we've got like the Chairman's Club. Those clubs are actually in game, and they were kind of mimicking that at CitizenCon. So I do remember doing that.
So Griffin, now that you said, I got that white card for 2,500. Now I can finally get that F8 out. I've always wanted.
Yeah, that's all you need, right?
There you go.
That's all you need. Yeah, we're gonna put Fastcart's card up for auction, y'all. We'll do that. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the topic number one here, and we're gonna try to be very fair about these, y'all, because I really want to have a good conversation about these, and of course, chat. We want to see what you guys have to say about these as well. But let's start out with number one. One of the reasons why people were naysayers back in the day was that they were uneducated about development. Now, I'm not trying to say this in a negative way, but I am saying it as a legit way, that there were a lot of backseat developers, a lot of people who thought they understood, who knew what it meant to, how fast the game should come out or what it takes to make a game. Gio, I'm gonna go back to you. You remember like the whole thing with CryEngine, right? And how there was a lot of naysaying back then because instead of them starting with a brand new engine, or maybe at that time it was Unreal 4, right? A lot of people were kind of critical about why would they go pick CryEngine of all things. Do you remember a little bit of that back in the day?
Definitely, I definitely heard back and forth. We hear that to this day. Well, if they would have just picked Unreal, and I guess we're going to kind of see that competition with Star Atlas and Star Citizen, who's going to be looking good, because those are the two space games. But from what I've learned from talking to developers, an engine is an engine. It's up to the developers to make it, do what they want to, bend it to the way they want. So people are just automatically assuming, Unreal Engine is better. And then, Amazon got a hold of the CryEngine and made it to, was it Lumberyard or whatever they call it?
Lumberyard.
So not only is they own it, Star Citizen Studio, CIG is actually building onto that engine for Amazon. So that's a big deal people don't pay attention to. So I think people put too much into that and didn't ask questions. But like I said, I have been, like you said, to Bar Citizens, to CitizenCon, and asked developers myself, even some devs just on the side watching the game in the community. People like, man, you know, it really doesn't matter as long as they know what they're doing and have the right engineers in house. It's not really a big deal. And I always did like CryEngine. To me, that was one of my favorite engines to this day. And like I said, Unreal's nice too, but can't every engine be Unreal? Someone has to help innovate other engines. We don't want a monopoly on, you know, one engine.
I remember CryEngine, you know, the game Crysis was one of the main things the CryEngine was known for. And I remember when CIG moved it from what they thought was a 32-bit to 64-bit and how it changed dramatically the game. But like Gio was saying, there was a whole lot of reworking of the engine. The engine that we have now is not, that was just kind of a foundation of where they started. But they expanded it. It's more from what it did go from Star Engine to Lumberyard, or is it Lumberyard to Star Engine? I forget what the order is now.
Well, I don't think CIG officially. Well, as far as I know, CIG hasn't officially called it Lumberyard. I think the players call it. Call it Star Engine.
Yeah, Star Engine.
Amazon call it Lumberyard. But I think the players call it Star Engine more than CIG do. But you know. It probably is Star Engine. They just haven't officially named it. Maybe when they decide to license it out, it'll be Star Engine. But for now, it's Lumberyard. I do want to say thank you, Envoy70 and Will SC for the subscription.
Oh thank you for those subs. Wow, I didn't even see those pop up. Jeez, oh Pete, thank you.
Hey, thanks for the subscription.
Gladestone said he thought CIG named it Lumberyard after. No, Amazon is the one who named it Lumberyard.
Yeah, that was Amazon's thing.
Didn't that happen in 2016 when they had to re-switch everything and it was like that dead year we had?
It was a little bit
that lawsuit from CryEngine.
Yeah, it was a little bit after that, going into 2016-17 when they were making the transition, because they literally had to transition everything over to that. It was a lull. You're absolutely right. Gio, I want to throw something at you. There was also a lot of, I mean, you're a console player. You've done console, you've done PC, and I think that a lot of assumptions were also based around people assuming that because of the rate, I'm thinking back at that time when a lot of DLCs and a lot of games were coming out, like I'm just using Call of Duty as an example, but it's almost like every 2 years, right? A new Call of Duty was coming out. And I think players sometimes thought that, you know, because those games came out like every 2 years, they didn't know that the development of those games was maybe a 6-year process, right? It just happened to be, the cadence was set up in such a way that every 2 to 3 years they could put out a new game. And I heard a lot of people who used to think that, oh, well, look how fast this came out. This came out this fast. You know, we heard it back at E3 and this came out. Even you were mentioning No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky premiered at E3 in 2013. It got released in 2016, but they started working on it back in 2010, 2011. So that was like a 6-year, right, for No Man's Sky. It came out incomplete, and it has only been like the last year where it's finally kind of reaching the level of what they originally pitched, and that's 10 years later.
And then Sony they also got flooded. I thought their studio got flooded, and then Microsoft tried to buy them out. And I think they got an exclusive deal with Sony.
Sony picked them up, right? That's what put the pressure on them. I think Sony gave them $50 million and helped to get it out, but they put out a publishing date, which at that point, these guys, they were stuck. You know, Sony basically is the publisher, which is what Star Citizens tried to avoid, right? That pressure from a publisher. They had a bad launch, and it's taken a long time for them to regain, you know, their credibility. They've worked diligently and rebuilt the game up into the game that was pitched back in the day. You can't play it. It's not an MMO. You know what I'm saying? You can't play, you know, thousands of people playing it, but they have improved the game over time. So I think that people kind of, the way they thought Star Citizen was going to roll out was maybe not having a complete understanding, you know what I mean, of how games are developed over time, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You know, I give them the credit. They've been coming back and giving out so much free DLC. But like I said, you burned a lot of people from the jump in the first place. A lot of stuff was already supposed to be there. Yeah. And, you know, for me with that game, like base mechanics are everything for me. The gun combat, FPS combat is like real. The guns are like real floaty and like toyish, and the flight model in the game is not all that. When you go in and out the ship,
in comparison,
explore inside the ship, you know. So That's one of the most important things to me is early on getting the basics down right.
Right. And there's a lot less tech in that game. I mean, it's not about the depth that Chris is doing, right? It's a great game for what it does. It's got its own stylized animation, right? But it is definitely not the depth that we're looking at in a game like Star Citizen. I'm going to hit on my buddy Gladestone. Wait a minute. I got to hit on my buddy Gladestone because he go call me out in chat. You call me out, Gladestone. You know I'm going to hit you with both barrels. You say, oh, Griff, it's been 12 years. Stop lying. It ain't been 12 years. It has been 10. It is in 2012, October was the announcement when there were about 5 people. Okay. Now, over the next 3 years, there was development on tools. And mind you, are you talking about Squadron 42 Gladestone or are you talking about Star Citizen? Which one? Because if you want to talk about...
Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned the 3 years. Sandy Roberts was on interview on there, and he said it took 3 years just to build up the company because before then, they were trying to use all the different companies to help build a game. Like we all know about Electronics and how that worked out. But there were like Moon Collider, and several other companies that they were involved. So it took them 3 years just to get the company up and running.
Exactly.
Can I tell y'all a quick story with Ilphonic?
Yeah.
One time, I've heard, well, this developer ain't even at CIG no more, so I don't care. He says Ilphonic on the Constellation, the old model back in the day, they had 1 million polys on the door. That's how much they didn't know what they were doing.
Yep.
And like that's if you know like anything about computers and stuff like that, that is, you do not need no damn 1 million polys on that damn door, and it makes the game run horrible. And another thing, here's my little conspiracy theory. Everyone says, oh, 12 years or 10 years. 2012 in October was the Kickstarter, right? And they started off with what, maybe 50 people. Everyone just thinks they automatically start. Oh, well,
not even then.
600 developers. Not even that. Like you had the co-founders, and that was it. And Chris was really making everything in the engine to show off like the tech and all that. Then they start off in Austin. Then they got to LA. Like they slowly but surely built up. And here's my conspiracy theory right here. When they did that rework on that, on the engine, getting everything in the Star engine or the Lumberyard engine, I think they had to start over. In my opinion, there was a lot of shit that they had to go back, redo, and get it for 3.0, and that's why we're kind of so far behind.
And I agree.
Because it looks like a completely different game, but they can't come out and say that. Maybe when the game comes out, but I think
in the future
they're going to say 2016, 2017, we basically had to start over, but we had a whole new group of people, 300 at the time.
Right.
17, so they probably had enough to, start over. But all that they had in the past, whoosh, gone.
Well, here's the deal. You're not completely wrong, and they have alluded to it, because when the thing came up with Ilphonic and them losing all those third-party contractors, and they reeled everything under the in-house stuff that they started doing, because remember, when they did the whole PvP thing, the first-person shooter stuff, remember, it was the metrics and stuff were all wrong. They had to re-scrap all of that stuff. So like any business, you do some stuff don't work, you got to start over. That's a natural thing. I think the problem is, and I'm Gladstone's my buddy, so I can give him a hard time. My point is that it's very easy to say that when you don't make that comparison to companies like Activision or EA or any other company that has an engine in place, studios with 200 to 400 staff already in place, and games that took 6 years to build. If they took 6 years to build with all that stuff in place, yet we want to say, Star Citizen.
Assets and tools.
Yeah, they had the assets and tools. And mind you, all those games don't do nothing but re-churn out the same old stuff every time. You're talking about trying to innovate and create something different that we've never had before, and you can't tell me any of those companies are producing the type of game that we're talking about. So it's unfair to say, oh, well, it's been 10 years. Okay, so what? It's been 10 years. Now, I was going to make my point before fastcart cut me off. If you're talking about Squadron 42 and disappointment on the release of that, I'll grant you that. I will grant you that, because people have always wanted that single player game. But if you know anything about MMOs and game development, Star Citizen, the big verse thing, they never said that was coming out in 3 to 5 years, ever. They did not say that. They said that it was going to be a part of it. You'd come out of Squadron 42 and go into the persistent universe. So I just want to bring some clarity about that, because we talked about that Kickstarter stuff 2 weeks ago. All right, we want to get off this one and get to the next one.
Well, and we got ahead though, because we weren't even supposed to be landing on planets right now. One of the dudes was working to get the planets, and a lot of people be like, oh well, that they blame that for the development time. But a lot of these games, look at Starfield, they're not trying to do that. They just said straight up, and did a PR bullshit. We're not going to do Land on Planets because, you know, it's not that big a deal. We're just going to do a little on-rail system. Lazy. And that, well, like Griff said, that is a veteran team who's not even trying to even innovate. They're just, oh, well, you know, No Man's Sky can do it, but we're not going to do it. You're being lazy and you don't want to put the money. Just say that. But people, you know, Damage Control for you know, Bethesda, for whatever reason, I guess because their catalog of games, like their games don't come out with fucking bugs and they use the same tired ass engine. But you know, they always get a pass. But
okay. All right. Let's go to indie burns. These are some of the reasons why people are naysayers. Donors who lost money on games that were never completed. Let me give you guys some examples. Ooh. This is gonna get Geo worked up here when I mention this. Chronicles of Illyria, World of Darkness, EverQuest Next, Fable Legends. These were games that showed great potential. We saw demonstrations of them or samples of them. People put in money to support these games, and some of the folks have gotten burned over the years.
I don't know if y'all can see
what is it, Gio? Tell us what is it? What is it?
Okay, so this is my Kickstarter page. I have Chronicles of Illyria on here, and this game called Identity.
Okay.
Both were scams. I never see nothing about on Kotaku, PC Gamer. No one runs and talks about them, but somehow the game that's always producing weekly content and showing you live streams and everything that they do, they always jump on Star Citizen. But these scams, I've never heard them call them out.
Yeah.
Took my money and they ain't say a damn thing. But they want to come at the Star Citizen. I always find that amazing to me.
Yeah, I know Chronicles ended up pulling like almost $9 million. It was $8+ million over a 7-year period. And the people, they got one little miniature demonstration thing of the entire game, and that was it. It never produced, you know, and they're still in litigation. They're trying to produce something so they don't get sued. That's basically what it comes down to. They're trying to produce something, but they can't deliver it.
But this is the thing, like what's even more shady, a couple months before that, they did like a sale, like, hey, get this land plot, get this wagon. They did a sale a couple months before, knowing that ship was sinking, trying to raise some more funds, didn't show shit for I don't know how many years. So they were in development at that time, 5-6 years, never showed anything and asking people for more money. Yeah. And then they still screwed people after. I was like, I'm not buying shit else till I see what's going on. I want to see some more development. Because like I said, I was invested. That game looked interesting to me. I'm like, so I would, in my head, something don't sound right. I could see it. I was watching them for months. What a lot of people should do with Star Citizen. If you're on the fence, watch it for months. That's what I did. Just sit on the sideline. You know, people always try to get peer pressure. You ain't got to buy a damn thing. Right, look at them starter ships. That's it. Guys, that's what I did. I didn't even have a computer. I just had fun watching the development and the shows on the game. So with a lot of these games, the way you could avoid that, watch how they act. Even though I got scanned out of my money in the Kickstarter, I don't even kickstart anything no more. Them days are over for me. Yeah,
FC, did you ever have any indie game that you put money into and it didn't like pan out?
I'm gonna be honest. Squadron 42 and Star Citizen are the only games I kickstarted on Kickstarter.
Okay.
And I'm not a Kickstarter person. I've only kickstarted like 3 or 4 things in my life. So yeah.
But there were a lot of people who have been burned, and I'm saying this may be a reason why some people are apprehensive, especially when you hear about a game that's quote unquote this ambitious, whether it can be delivered. Okay. The other reason that we have is AAA burns. Now this is a whole different thing because we got the indie burns, AAA. Gamers who bought into the hype of a game that never really delivered. Some examples of that would be Anthem. A lot of people were in love with Anthem. The people who actually played it liked it. And there was some promises. Well, there were some promises of Anthem, you know, going further. But we later on found out the story about what took place with Activision and the pressure and EA and the people that were there and how it just kind of fell apart. And it had a lot of potential, but people got burned with it. Fallout 76, terrible launch. They finally have slowly brought it back over time, but a lot of people felt like they got burned when it came out. Mass Effect 4, another game. People didn't feel that it matched the quality of the previous Mass Effect games. They felt it was too rushed when it came out. Cyberpunk 2077, bad launch. Promises to console people that didn't get the game, or the game looked drastically different than the PC game. Some people's PCs, it worked fine. Other people's, it crashed all the time. And then most recently, one of our Patreon games that Gio was talking about earlier, Elite Dangerous, the Odyssey module that came out. Elite had been holding on for quite a while, but Odyssey you know, something that people, and I didn't know this because even I played Elite, I wasn't that deep into their community, but many of our people and our friends are deep into it. And they said one of the biggest things that they wanted was to be able to do their Armstrong moment, to be able to walk on a planet and to be able to do things. And then when the module came out, they were disappointed by it. When they told their developers, we want to be able to walk on our ships, the response back to the gamers was, well, after you do that 5 or 6 times, you'll get bored. So we're not going to do it. You know, I mean, these are people who got burned because these games didn't deliver that people wanted. Fastcart, is there anything, I know you played Mass Effect 4. Was there anything in that which you want to talk about is how the reception was?
It's not really Mass Effect 4. It's called Mass Effect Andromeda.
Andromeda.
Some people do say it 4, but I think Mass Effect 4 is still on the table.
True.
But I did buy and play Mass Effect 4. Now you got me doing it. Mass Effect Andromeda. But the thing was, the start of the game was kind of rough, but I think the middle towards the end was actually a good game. I played through it like three times.
Okay.
So I enjoyed it. There were some things you had to look around in order to get through it. But yeah, I enjoyed it myself. But yeah, I can see how a lot of people had issues, especially with the character animations and facial stuff.
Yeah.
The aliens look better than the humans.
Than the humans did, yeah. These 3 of these Fallout 76, Mass Effect Andromeda, and Cyberpunk had one thing in common. They had terrible launches. The people were not satisfied with the product that they got. And you know, we've talked about this. You know, there was a time when games came out. When they came out, they were on point. You know, you know what I mean? There was just no issue. I'm not
you went to gold, and then that was it.
Right, and I'm not talking about server issues. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about bugs. You know what I mean? Unplayable situations. And I think, what do you think, Joe? You think some people, after they get burned by this over and over, it's like, you know, psychologically, it's kind of like, yeah, I put too much hope in that game, and it dropped the bottom out on me.
Well, you know, that problem kind of, I remember when this stuff started happening around the Xbox One era and the PS4 era, because 360 era, the games, I mean, you had some games that, you know, were messed up, wasn't as bad then, but the more popular online gaming got, and the more they saw that they could, you know, I could just send an update to fix it and they can play it. I could send a half-ass broken game, or we ain't got to fix it, or we'll fix it later. The devs get more and more comfortable, and people are getting more and more burned. I was getting burned out early on, which kind of found my way to Star Citizen, because I'm like, man, why are these games the same thing, same brokenness? And I remember at the time vividly, I was looking at DayZ and Star Citizen. I'm like, now that's something different I haven't seen on console, even though I know DayZ and a little jank and all that stuff, but it still looked, you know, fun and unique to me. But people are getting tired. I know all them games you named, I have not bought any except for Andromeda. I think I saw it on sale for $2. I'm like, well, it's a bag of chips. If it sucks, it costs a bag of chips, because I love the Mass Effect series. Right. But I've been done with all these AAA guys, especially EA. EA will buy a studio and ram it into the ground. Just Google Graveyard Studios that EA killed, and you have your answer right there. EA is the problem. It ain't those devs, but EA has the money to keep them running. So, hey, you send out that game like we said, and do that. We don't care about your reputation of your game. And unfortunately, Cyberpunk, they were an indie dev or publisher or whatever, and they had all that, you know, built up their reputation in one game. You know, they want to hurry up and rush and kept delaying it again and again, and just said, well, hell, we ain't gonna delay it no more because we don't want to make them mad. And you screwed up Cyberpunk. A lot of people were pissed off because they thought better of you, and now your reputation is basically fucked up again. Now you got to go back to square one and try to push out a better game, or people are only gonna play the Witcher series now. So just that it could go quicker than how long it took you to earn it. Just that fast.
And CD Projekt Red, 10 years in development, and they still didn't deliver everything that they were supposed to deliver when that came out. So again, you know,
they axed the multiplayer mode.
That's what I'm saying. See, I'm trying to put this in context to Star Citizen. I'm not trying to say it. I'm just saying, let's look at the industry in general, because I know it's frustrating that it's taking a while. I don't take anything away from people's desire to want to play the game and the wait, but I do want to say, let's keep it real. Because we look at games like that did get produced by major AAA companies, as you mentioned, Gio. Great background. CD Projekt Red, they were the baby, right? They were going to deliver, and when they failed to deliver, again, these are companies that years ago, when their games came out, it was no problem. Now we're seeing AAA games that are just having these terrible launches, and it always seems to come down to that the game was released too soon. And we keep asking Star Citizen to come out soon. And if Star Citizen comes out too soon, it will have the same fate and die like these other games. So,
and they will get more hammered. Let me tell you something. Absolutely. If CIG messes up Squadron 42, it will be like an Armageddon. The world is going to end. They'll sweep up Starfield, could be a fuck up. They'll sweep it under the rug. Cyberpunk, same thing. Oh, well, it's messed up, but we will hear it for like a couple years.
Forever.
And this is a newer studio. If you look at CD Projekt Red, how long they've been around, or Bethesda, how long they've been around and still can't get their bugs down. And we're judging CIG off of veteran studios that have been around 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Versus a studio that, we're constantly losing people, gotta hire people, building new systems, building, new tools. I know I'm sounding like a white knight right now, but I'm keeping it real. That's like having a new employee come in and look at some of these people who've been here, 20 years to be just as good as the dude who's been there maybe a year or two. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Those dudes, they could probably work in their sleep. Not these guys. They're still learning on the fly and building new tools.
Okay. Good point. All right. Let's move on to the next one here. The skeptics. I got definitions here, y'all, so I don't want y'all to think I'm making up my definitions here. A person inclined to question or doubt accepted opinions. And this comes from things like postponed features, missed announcement dates. These different things that CIG has done. They've postponed features. Salvage was supposed to, I don't know how many times we saw Salvage supposed to come, how many times the Constellation Taurus was supposed to come out. It missed announcement dates. I remember when what was the thing called fastcart that they were going to do for Squadron 42? They said that we're going to now put this
vertical slice.
No, not the vertical slice. The show. Remember they were going to do that thing when they changed everything over to from Aaron over to what's the Viking guy?
Oh, you're talking about Brian Chambers.
Brian Chambers. When Brian started working on Squadron, they did a show. Somebody put it in chat for me because we have such smart people. What was the name of that show, y'all? No, not the Pillars. No, not the Pillars.
You're talking about Pillar Talk.
No, not Pillars. Somebody in chat put in there what that show was supposed to be with Squadron 42 that they were going to be putting out. They were going to be giving us updates on Squadron 42. We only got one episode of it, and then it never happened again.
They showed that station.
Yeah,
you were talking
it was
about?
when they showed the briefing room. Thank you, Sarge. Thank you. Yes, it was the briefing room. And so I'm saying that CIG says they're going to do something, and then it doesn't happen. Then that makes people skeptical, right? People get a little bit, okay, well, we trusted them, blah, blah, blah. And it's legit. Like I said, some of this stuff's legit, y'all. So I'm not trying to go defend them on some stuff because CIG has had their faux pas from time to time, okay? Let's see, under skeptics, those who... Okay, here's some things I want to talk about with skeptics, too. Those who never experienced innovation. Now, let me give you some examples of this. All of us have heard these phrases before, like it's going to be a game changer or next generation, right? I mean, we've heard that stuff so much when a game comes out that many gamers have not been around to see innovation. Now, Gio, you younger than me in Fastcart. You ain't got no grace, so I don't know if you can pull on anything on this one. But Fastcart, do you remember any time in gaming where you felt like it became something, an innovation, something that actually changed the way we game? Not just a new game, but how we played gaming.
Homeworld.
What specifically?
Oh, the Homeworld. Homeworld is RTS, the real-time strategy game. Except the way they innovated was instead of being two-dimensional, it was three-dimensional, and the way you moved in 3 dimensions was you right-click and left-click in specific order in order to move your troops around. Yep. So Homeworld was one that innovated, in my opinion.
Let me go to one. Gio's gonna laugh when I say this one. Y'all want to know my first innovative? Well, actually, I can name a whole bunch of innovative games. One game that I think most people be familiar with was Doom, because Doom was actually a part of. Well, actually, it was actually Wolfenstein 3D, but it was the first time that we were put into a first-person position playing a game. And a lot of folks, that was if you look at it now and you say, is that 3D? No, it wasn't 3D.
Oh, you mean like back in the day?
Yeah, I'm talking about back in the day.
Like no,
not the recent games. You know what I'm talking about.
Homeworld, so
yeah, I'm going back even further. I'm going back to the old Doom where it was the first time you saw a first-person shooter. And so that was game-changing. And it's very rare that we've had something get introduced. That stuff does happen, more recent stuff than that even. For example, when we were able to start playing games on a modem, that was game-changing when I could actually connect with Geo at his crib. Or what about LAN? How about that?
LAN,
Just being able to plug up two computers together and play. But a lot of people have not experienced when I'm talking about changing the way gamers play. And so if you've never experienced that, it's easy to be skeptical when somebody comes up with something that sounds so out there, you know, to say, well, I don't know, that sounds a little bit too much, you know.
Griffin, I'm gonna one up you, okay?
Okay.
We're talking about innovation. Pong. That was the innovative game. Pong.
Well, I could outbeat you on that even. Well, we could, you know, now we start talking ancient. We're talking 1970s and 60s, so I don't want to go back that far. But no, you're very true. The game console, right, on a TV at home, you know, home arcade, all those things. The game change. When Geo, not to be funny, but even just something as simple as when the PlayStation 1 came out, right? There were some things that became game, you know, the way we played, it changed the way we play games, right?
I got lucky because I basically started kind of getting, well, I played on like the Super Nintendo, but like me vividly remembering opening that Nintendo 64 and playing
64-bit
Super Mario 3D World. That was innovating like crazy. GoldenEye, the first like well 3D, you know, FPS. So I've definitely had that feeling, and then that's why when I got older, when I was getting burned out, when I was looking for another game, that's when I found Star Citizen and you know, DayZ and stuff like that. 'Cause I was getting burned out. I'm like, where's the innovation at? A lot of the games I haven't really played recently, like I was first looking for my new console, like the 360 at the time and the PS3. I was stuck between which one I wanted. I went in the store and played Gears of War. I said, this is innovation. I'm like, this is amazing. The graphics and slicing people open. You know, and recently, I think the most recent game I played was like so much innovation is Rockstar always does it for me. When I played Red Dead Redemption, like if you go on the TikToks, and to this day, that game came out in 2018. Still does stuff better than any game that's out right now. Like you see him cut the food, eat it, and just like ridiculous hunting and cut the hide off, like unreal stuff that goes on from that game.
Good. That's some good.
Griffin, I don't know if you're paying attention to the chat, but people are taking like, the Dragon's Lair. That was innovative.
Dragon's Lair. Oh my God. Yes, Dragon's Lair. Gladstone. Yeah, going back to the laser disc. Yeah, I mean that's what we're saying. There's some of us remember, but we don't see innovation that much, so it's very easy to forget when innovation happens. All right, let's hit the next one here. Cynics. A person who believes that people are motivated purely by self-interest rather than acting for honorable or unselfish reasons. I'm gonna throw back here on this one. Do you guys remember the big stink that came up when people, quote unquote, found out that Sandy Gardner was married to Chris Roberts?
Oh man, that was a shit show.
Download for some reason back then.
Well, let me ask you a question. Wait, but let me ask you a question. Were we entitled to know that?
No.
Not really, no. In my opinion, no.
It wasn't none of our damn business. I don't think so.
In my opinion, no.
Because look, it gave the cynics, it gave them ammo.
It sure did. As soon as they found out, the people went crazy. And that's
people
when
didn't have a problem with Aaron Roberts,
right? His brother, but that just added to it, and then that's when we start hearing all this stuff about the money and them having pocketing money and the yachts and all this other stuff when all that came up, you know. So
and then attacked his wife and kids, and they expect him to sit back and not say a damn thing. Exactly. They was, well, Chris shouldn't have said nothing. Hell no, he did exactly what I would have did. Shit. Forget that. Forget being humble. You attacking me, I'm going to throw shots right back at your bitter ass.
Let's go back a little bit without naming names and give some detail on that, because a lot of people, Geo, don't know. They don't remember what happened. But there was somebody who doxed them. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And somebody went in and started revealing information about their family and a whole bunch of other stuff. They really crossed a really bad line when it came to that. And it created a whole lot of problems when that happened. So this wasn't just like, because again, there were people, of course, people who worked at the studio knew they were married. but they just didn't advertise it. It wasn't like Ben Lesnick didn't know that Sandy was married to Chris. I'll guarantee you that. But when it came out, some people didn't care. Some people made a big stink, especially people on the outside, made a really big stink about it. So anyway, that was with some of the cynics. Let's go to the next one. This one might rub some people the wrong way, y'all. The entitled. Believing oneself to be inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. The dangers of consumerism says that I've paid for this and I want it now. That's kind of the feeling. Now, again, I always give a little waiver when it comes to people who were looking forward to getting Squadron 42. You know, I give them a little bit of a waiver because they were looking forward to that standalone game, and I get it. But there is an attitude of entitlement that happens among gamers sometimes where it's like, I've given you my $20 or my $200 or my $2,000. And because of that, I want my stuff and I want it now. Or maybe it's just because of the amount of time that I've spent playing the game. You know, I've been playing this game for 7 years. When are they going to do that and the other? Now, I'm not saying you don't have a legitimate argument, y'all. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the attitude. If your attitude is one of entitlement, then there are people who feel that way. Anybody got any thoughts on that before I go to the next one?
Well, this is the thing about entitlement. You know, coming especially into a game like this, I don't understand where kind of entitlement comes from, because you need to see where this game, like Griff, I know you, I see that, you know, when you looked at this game when it first was talked about, you was like, oh, this game gonna take a while. It's gonna be a while, and when you were buying ships, it was there to help, you know, donate to the game. It wasn't a pre-order. So you had to have in mind that, you know, if I donate to this game, to this project, you know, it's a chance it's going to fail.
Yep.
There's a chance they're gonna miss deadlines because they're a newer studio. It's not gonna come out as fast. I know that's how I looked at it when I was coming in. That's why I don't come in. I never came in feeling entitled. I knew from the jump. I looked at this game. I said, man, this probably, they're trying to do these ship battles and 1,000 people and blah blah blah. Like, this might be 10 years. And I was thinking that back then off the rip. I said, because ain't nothing out right now that's doing that. So you know, I never felt really entitled like that. And I try to, you know, make sure even being like in these what is that, the concierge and stuff like that. People be wanting certain stuff because they put a certain amount of money. I mean, who told you put that much money there? They really don't have to give us anything, because if you look at some of these damn crypto projects, you ain't getting nothing but what you paid for. And that's it. You buy a $300,000 ship. That's all your ass get. Ain't no special club. You got the rarity, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the blame a little bit on CIG, because CIG would have these funding goals or little events, like you have lunch with Chris Roberts. Remember those?
Oh yeah. Back in the day, that's early Kickstarter. So, that was early Kickstarter stuff.
Even 2016, I have some. You pay $250 for lunch at CIG. So I was like, I can see how people can get turned off with that. And you know, the early crowdfunding goals, you pay a certain amount of money. You could have a one-on-one, and we covered it in the first week of January. We had a one-on-one with an hour with Chris Roberts and stuff like that. So I can see how some people can get that entitlement.
But I don't know if those people felt entitled, because the people who spend that money know what they're doing.
No, I'm talking about people who didn't get that.
Why come they got it
later? Why can't I have lunch with Chris Roberts?
They had dinner with Christ Roberts in the Last Supper.
Oh my God!
But see, this is what I understand with that. But like, that is okay. So in this community, people get mad at like stuff like that, and entitlement. Like, and when people used to have devs come on their shows, oh, why you come on their show? Why you ain't answer my question on the forum?
That's another one. Yeah.
If you listen, this is the thing. A lot of other games and stuff, if you're a big YouTuber and you have an interview on there, if this dude got 50,000, 100,000 subscribers, he has clout. If you want that, build on something. You can't get mad. Like, people's feelings are gonna get hurt. It's just gonna have to be that, because if people are building these brands and they want to reach out to get a further audience, that's what it is. You can't get mad like, oh, well, this person come on the show It ain't the show because I only got 3 subscribers. Deal with it. Put it in the work, and maybe they might come on your show. Now they won't come on no one's shows, and we can't ask the questions we want. And people ask good questions to get questions directly, from that content creator, and they'll answer them. He or she'll answer them. Right. And now we don't even have that access. You just want to cry about it, but you just could have went to that content creator and told him, like, I want this question asked, and could have got your question asked. But instead, you went on the forums crying.
I remember.
And by the way.
No, you go ahead.
By the way, not to be too funny, but I suffer from entitlement too sometimes because they have the Constellation Emerald. I want the Constellation Black, So yeah, I suffer to it too.
You nut.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say I remember, and Gio will remember, and I'm sure FC remembers. There was one content creator who really got upset because at one point CIG had taken content creators to Gamescom with them. And this person felt that they had put in the time streaming and that they should get to go to Gamescom. And when they didn't get picked, they raged over it. So, to Gio's point, it's not going to happen. Sometimes it's just the way it is. Okay, let's hit the next one. This one's a tough one here. Is that the right one? Yeah, it is, right? Did I put that up?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Refunders, yeah. After receiving a refund, someone isn't satisfied with the item they bought or the service they got. So for the refunders, some of you may remember from the early days when this game first was put out, when you played the game, if you just weren't satisfied with the game or whatever, you could write into CIG, say, can I get a refund? And they would give you a refund for the most part. But then they began to change their terms of service as they got further along into development. Now, the next stage of it that I remember, I don't know if Gio was around at that time or fastcart, if you remember, CIG would give you you would have to write to them. And if you had some type of hardship, some type of difficulty, something had come up, they would still give you a refund. So if you had spent, like, let's say you had $1,500 and you say, listen, I'm having a surgery or I've got to pay my rent, I've lost my job, they would give you the refund. They would do that. But again, as the development went, and I think people still have this idea of thinking that when they say CIG has $500 million, that means this is $500 million set in the bank.
In the bank.
Yeah, that money's gone. Most of that money's gone. It's spent. Because for each year, they've had to spend money to pay their employees. And so there came a point where their terms of service once again changed. And then they came to what is like the most common thing that says within 30 days of playing the game, if you're not satisfied, we will return your money. So they progressed in that. Now, I remember some people really got, even when after they got their money refunded, there were people who really got upset. In fact, there is a subreddit of people who to this day go there frequently and post about a game that they got refunds on. And I don't know what's the madness behind that, fastcart. If you got your money back and you don't like the game, why do you go to why do you still talk about it?
You got me. I can't figure that one out for the life of me. It's been how many years is that? 2016?
Yeah, they started that back in 2016 or something like that. Gio, have you ever gone to that page before and seen it?
I stay the hell off Reddit. Those social degenerates, keyboard words. I haven't been on there, and I don't know how long.
Okay,
I don't understand it. It's almost like the people who hate the game. They run on every forum. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. It's like I don't understand why are you wasting your time.
Yeah,
you got your money back. Hell, I wish I could have got my money on Elite Dangerous. I did. I wish I could have got my money back on No Man's Sky. I didn't.
Yeah.
Hell, it was nice enough to CIG to even let them y'all use them as the bank. Like, oh well, you gave us $500, but here you go. If something happened, you can have your money back. Because like I said, these were pledges. A lot of Kickstarters ain't giving your damn money back, or they took your money. So
yeah, I don't
understand that.
Oh boy,
it's like the atheist mentality. You know how that goes. They're like, oh, I got my refund. I don't worship the Lord. I don't like Star Citizen, just so y'all know. Or veganism.
All voids. Thank you so much for the raid of 19.
Thank you for the raid.
Yeah, welcome. I was watching your stream earlier before our show got started. Yeah, it is.
What the hell's going on up in here?
I know. Yeah. Listen, thank you. I hope you had a good stream, Al Voids. Like I said, I got to watch you a little bit before we got started. But thank you for sending your folks over. We're talking about naysayers, reasons why people might feel negatively or have issues with Star Citizen over the years, because these are some of these reasons are not as strong as they were back in the day. But we were just talking about refunders. One of the things I was going to say, Gio, to your point, is about people who go to, and I've never understood this, people who comment in videos and they obviously don't like support the game, but they watch other people's YouTube videos and they go comment. I'm like, don't you have something else better to do? I don't go find stuff games I don't play and go comment on the video. What? I don't get it.
Griffin, they don't even do that. They just go by. They just read the title of the video and then comment.
Yeah, they just drop in. Okay.
I'm serious. That's what some people do, because you know, because it's funny that most time, a lot of times people comment on the video. The thing that they're commenting on is addressed in the video, but they haven't watched it.
Yeah, I guess so. I
made a video called "Star Citizen is a Scam," and first people went on it. Oh, you're a dumbass. It's not a scam. I'm like, see, you didn't even watch the damn video. You didn't even watch it. And see, what people don't understand, I love that. You can come on my channel trolling because I love it.
I know. There's only one troll I know worse than you.
I'm the Sith Lord. Like, give me all your hatred.
Yeah,
I love that. Keep giving me views and coming there talking shit and dislikes
and Star Citizen now.
I know. There's two Sith Lords, him and Colossal. I know you make Colossal smile because he's definitely a Sith Lord.
Oh, yes. Give me your power.
All right, that leads us to the haters. A person who greatly dislikes a specified person or thing. You know, I was always amazed at hearing when people would talk about Star Citizen and why they didn't trust it or believe it or whatever. And some of the things I would hear is like, well, you know, that Chris Roberts, he's a micromanager, or he's a perfectionist, or most recently, he's a liar. You know,
they lied to us.
Yeah, he lied. Yeah, he's a liar. You know, again, I'm kind of amazed more about the energy behind this, especially with somebody who I don't know, somebody who I have no contact with, and I have especially if I don't have any financial tie to it. I don't understand where that personal attack level of it comes from. If you want to complain about the development and the project, that's one thing, but I don't get where the other stuff comes from. Gio, I don't know if you got something on that. Let me go to Gio first, and then I'll go to your fast card.
Yeah, I see lately I be seeing Chris get a lot of hate anytime he talks. That was one of the things that brought me onto this game. Seeing Chris coming out, talking about his game, ask questions. I know sometimes he'll probably say something about a feature that's far off or something like that, but I used to enjoy that because I could manage my expectations. I don't go on the forums crying every time he says something, because it was interesting to see him talk about his vision of his game. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. But people, like, every time he comes on camera, I think that's why I don't come on camera like that no more, because every time he does,
catches heat. Yeah,
they shut down. And really from our own community now. It's not even like the people from outside, because I never played a Chris Roberts game. So when I came in, someone like me, him come talking about his game, he knows what he's talking about. I'm like, okay, this dude, he got it going on. Okay. And in the quality that he's putting out, and the ships and walking around on planets. So he been, you know, there was a while where everything he showed was actually playable and you could do in game. And that was one of the things I like, because you would see E3 demos, they'll show you this, you know, bizarre, crazy thing and tell you could explore all this and that, and you couldn't do it in the final copy.
Or it was a cinematic, right? I mean, that was a lot of stuff.
I hate cinematic trailers.
Just straight cinematics back then.
Yeah. And you know, like I said, he was one of the few people that are actually talking what he was, or walking what he was talking, you know, or whatever. So I don't know, I don't understand the hate like that.
FC, what about you? Anything in relation to the personal attacks? And I mean, we saw an example of this when the Forbes article came out. Remember, fastcart? It was more of a personal attack more than it was about the game itself. And there were plenty of people who read that.
Right, and I think a lot of it had to do with the anonymity on the internet, because you can say anything on the internet and not catch any flack for it, and I think that's where a lot of the hate come from. But you know, there's something recently that happened was, you know, there's this group of people, I think they're called the player haters, who come along like once every 2 or 3 months, and you know, to just hate all day long.
Yeah, but they hate on the players. They don't hate on Chris Roberts. They hate on the players. So that's okay, you know. Yeah, every once in a while we do see them. That's very true. We haven't seen them in a while. We got to get them to come back. Okay. Now here's one. Y'all put a seatbelt on Geo on this one because this is gonna get him fired up. Propaganda. Information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular point of view. Now, I'm going to go back, Geo. I'm going to go to fastcart first, but I'm going to take both of y'all back to the meme wars when there was just all these memes being posted, all types of stuff. And I'm going to, let's see, I think I'm going to try and pull a couple of them up. I think I didn't push these in the thing because I got tired last night. But let me see if I have a couple of them here. Do I? I'm looking in the wrong folder. There we go. Okay, so here's one.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
There's one there. Okay. Let me see if I can find another one for you.
I ain't gonna lie, some of the memes be funny as hell, man.
Oh yeah, some of them are funny. Some of them
is pretty funny. I'm like, God damn, that's hilarious.
Some of them are hilarious depending on what they are.
Oh man,
that one?
I haven't seen that one either.
You haven't seen that one? What? Oh my God. Let's see if I can find. Ooh.
I tend to stay away from sites that they would post these. That's probably why.
Okay, here's one.
Well, that would be Reddit.
Do y'all remember that one? And then last but not least, this was a big meme when this one came out. And so, and Gio, you may remember this one. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, I think I've seen this one. That's the one I've probably seen.
I don't remember so many not smart refugee camp.
Okay, well, let's talk about this one. This one was the one. I do remember
that one.
Yeah, this is the one where someone decided to say that this is what the robbers are doing with your money. They're out on their yacht and they bought a yacht and they're spending all their money. This was a real big one when it came out. Now, most of this stuff was between the years of maybe 2015 to 2017, maybe 2018 a little bit. But there was a lot of propaganda. And see, the thing about this is there were people who were seeing this stuff and didn't know where it came from. But when you put the right lead line under it saying, this is what's happening with your money, you know, like Gio said earlier, a lot of these folks aren't digging to find out the truth. They just go by the power of the meme. And to address this one specifically, people may not realize that Chris Roberts produced movies. Right.
He rubbed elbows with movies, so he had money before
he had his own money.
Got started.
It's almost like he made games
his own money that he used to buy stuff like that.
Yeah.
What was that, Gio?
I said, it almost looks like he made this series called Wing Commander too. I don't know if he got any money off of that.
Yeah,
you know, movies, Wing Commander. I don't know how many Wing Commanders came out.
Oh, absolutely. Between that, his motion picture company, which he ended up selling, right? And he ended up making tons of money off of that. And he's not broke, you know, by any means. But again, it was something that was being used against them back in the day. Okay. All right, let's hit the next ones here. It's a little bit next level. And this is dealing with being salty. Now, I want to pay attention to this definition here because we throw the word salty around a lot, but the definition says somebody who's angry or resentful, especially in response to being defeated or disappointed. Now, there are people who genuinely have been disappointed. And I think that sometimes the disappointment, it may be misplaced, but it could be also valid. If people were given information or assumptions about the game, if they thought, like there was one guy, for example, who bought, I remember it was when the, what's that Geon ship called? The cargo ship. The
Geon ship?
Yeah, what's the Geon cargo ship, y'all? The purple one. The Raylan.
The Raylan?
Yeah. The guy bought the Raylan. And then after he bought it, this was kind of weird. After he bought it, he found out that the Raylan wasn't going to be coming out anytime soon. And he bought it under the idea thinking that this is the next ship that's going to come out. And he was disappointed. I think he ended up asking for a refund or filing a lawsuit, and they granted it back. And that's why CIG kind of, even though they had stuff in there previously in small print about, you know, this is no guarantee that this ship is going to be coming, they made it in like a more visible way for people to see it, right? So there are some people, who out of disappointment can become angry or resentful towards some of the things that happen with development, because you do, to Gio's point, you have to have a pretty strong fortitude to ride this wave, to ride on this train. You really do, honestly. And I've told people, and we've said this on the show before, for some people, they can be in this thing daily. For some people, they come only when an update pops up. For some people, they go away 2-3 years. You got to do what is good for you mentally so that you don't become salty about this game, because you can become salty.
And to your point, there's like this is a recent change for Griffin, Gio, and I, but maybe not too recent for a lot of the new players. But whenever you buy something on a website now, there's an acknowledgement window that pops up. And you have to scroll down before you can make a purchase. Before you can just go bam and purchase is made, but they changed that because they want to make sure that people actually click yes, I acknowledge this, but before they buy something.
Yeah. Gio, you've had your period to do that. Gio, you've had your period too, where you've had to step back from the game. You told me for a little while you stepped back, right? For a little bit.
To be honest, I still haven't played it. It's simple. It's just, you take a break if it pisses you off, just back off, especially content creators. They just think that, I got to make this content. So now I'm going to be pissed off because I'm forcing myself to make this content, make some more content, play other goddamn games. I don't understand that. I started off as a dude who was making, PS Vita videos, and look where that's at. That's dead. So, if you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket as a content creator, I have, I come from experience knowing that. But yeah, I got salty over the Van Duel mask thing, and I see they just did it. They just did an event. I told my brother I can't play it. I don't have the patience to do it. Just get it for me so I can finally have it. That's what made me salty the whole time I couldn't get that mask, because it was a 30K mess, and I'm hearing in the PTU right now 318 is a 30K mess. I'm like, well, I'm gonna just wait a little bit. I'm gonna see how live goes. If live gets better, I'll hop in, because I definitely want to play. Like I want to try all those new systems. I haven't played since the the Mercury Star Runner came out. So that was the last time I ever played, but I keep up with this game on a weekly basis, watch a lot of shows when I can. But it's something that you have to know. You have to step back, get angry. I know a lot of people have other games. So a lot of people step back, but content creators are the ones who get pissed off and forcing themselves to make content. They're miserable doing it. I've seen it happen with Call of Duty creators. They act like it comes out every year. Oh, wow, fun, Call of Duty, same thing. And they got to keep pushing that content. They make themselves miserable, even going back to their old jobs. And I can see that cycle happening again in Star Citizen. They're going to be burned out before the game even comes out, because every patch that comes out, they burn it out. They're waiting for the next thing. So I don't know what they're going to do come launch.
A good example of that, and Fastcart's been around long enough, and Gio's been around long enough, we could tell you dozens of content creators who have come and gone since this project started. A lot of them were basing what they were doing was basing it around that Star Citizen would come out in 2016. So they were trying to get in early, build like you said, build up their audiences and be ready when the game came out. And then when the game didn't come out, remember we had that one full year where it was the dry year where we got no updates or nothing. That strangled so many people at that time. So unless, like you said, Gio, unless some people decided to become variety streamers where they do Star Citizen, but they do some other stuff too, they survived. But very few of the people who just did Star Citizen completely were able to push through it. Some of them left out of anger. Some of them just left because they just felt like, hey, I can't keep up with this, or I don't know this game. But I'm just saying, there were people who had bad feelings, especially content creators back at that time. Okay, we got only a couple more of these to go, so let's hit them.
Oh, can I just say that,
sure,
just wait, man. The PS Vita is going to make a comeback.
Oh,
just
Lord.
wait.
I don't know. It must be coming out the same time Star Citizen is.
Okay, the misinformed. Where there's been confusion between Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Aridine, thank you so much.
Thank you for the subscription.
Arid, rather, thank you so much for that sub. Confusion between Star Citizen and Squadron 42, even from industry publications. I can't tell you how many industry mags or online mags or whatever constantly confuse. In fact, they never even talk about Squadron 42. It's always Star Citizen. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying that sometimes the viewers, the people who read and watch, don't distinguish the difference between the two. You guys remember a few months ago or last year, that issue came up about the bed sheets, the folding bed sheets, right? And a couple of the magazines made a real big deal out of that. But it was in the Squadron 42 notes that they were working on this particular tech. But it came out as if, oh, Star Citizen, look, they could be working on the game and they're working on, bed sheets, And so if people don't know that there are two games that are distinct, a single player game as well as the multiplayer game, it's very easy for some of the information to get crossed with folks if they don't understand what this, even if they don't know the history of the project. Like you said, Gio, you talked about how in the beginning, there was a handful of people. Chris did most of the coding himself. That was just a visual presentation he did in Engine, but a lot of people assumed that because it looks so good, right? And that it was in Engine, oh, they must have a studio of people already in place doing this. No, but Chris and only a couple people coded that stuff back then.
Some people said that was cinematic.
Yeah, some people thought it was. Yeah, some people thought it was, even though it said it was in in-game engine. Yeah. So anyway, let me go to fastcart first on this one. As far as that confusion, do you think that people are starting to distinguish the difference now because people are talking about Squadron 42 more fastcart, or do you think there's still confusion?
I've definitely seen less of it now compared to like a few years ago or even a year ago. And this is something I say a lot, but I think it's bad repeating. Like the title Star Citizen Alpha, some people think the Star Citizen Alpha is the name of the game. They don't know the Alpha is a state of development. They just think Alpha is part of the name, like Alpha Trion or Alpha Strike or something like that. So I think that's part of the issue. And also the CIG doesn't help themselves because they actually have like the PTU server and they call something the live server. So when you say live, that may give people the wrong impression that the game is actually launching and live.
Yeah.
So yes, I had seen publications. I'm tempted to name names, but I'm not going to. But yeah, we always have our favorite go-to, a couple of go-tos, especially one at the end of the year to say the worst business model and stuff like that. They have awards, and Star Citizen is always at the top. So yeah.
Gio, what do you think as far as from the back in the day till now? People being misinformed, because of bad information from the media, from publications and stuff. I know we've talked, we can say some of the magazines, Kotaku, several of them really seem like they kind of had an axe almost. Well, I'm just saying, they seem like they almost had an axe to grind. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were being fair and balanced, for lack of a better term. I hate to almost steal that term, but I'm just saying, it seemed like everything that came from them was always, like in the beginning, everything was good. But later, it was almost like they almost clickbaited those titles to keep people, viewing what they read. I don't know, Gio, what do you think?
Well, that's really what all these do. I never see them cover the cool tech, like something shown at SitCon or something. They'll be quiet about that, but they'll talk about the bed sheet. Like, let's talk about all of it. And let's not be one-sided. If you're gonna talk about the bed sheet, show off the cool zero gravity stuff or the salvage. I haven't heard no publication talk about the salvage yet. It's in PTU, gameplay's out. Hush, it's been silence, especially PC Gamer. You would think a PC Gamer would be happy that a game like this is getting made on PC, because really a lot of the time, they make these games for console first and PC's a second thought.
Right.
And, it used to be the other way around. Consoles get the bogus version. Now we got a game that's almost close to being exclusive right now to PC that we haven't seen in a long time. And they're always giving misinformation, down talk it, don't cover both sides, and that's why we shit on Kotaku, Shitaku, and PC Gamer, because they're not even trying to get interviews, talk to CIG, because I know if I can go in there and ask questions, I know damn well you can. You can probably call them up, talk to Chris right away. Hey, this is Kotaku. We gotta do an interview with you, but they don't. They don't even use the resources they have. So I don't take anything they say at all.
And to your point, like all the coverage that Star Citizen get, I didn't see Star Atlas get half that coverage.
Yeah.
How about you, Griffin?
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, when Star Atlas put out, was it last month, their ship, their $1 million virtual ship. I didn't see nobody screaming about it. Not nobody.
Yeah, people scream up and down all day long about $27,000 package, right?
Did you see the land sale too?
Oh yeah, the land sale. Yeah, the land sale. I want
to buy one. I said, it's like this cool futuristic Rome looking house, right?
Yep.
And with the ship outside, I said, "Oh, there's some ball of shit here." I said, "How much is this?" And the dev told me, he was like, "Yeah, it's gonna cost you some money." I think I went on there. That shit was like 40 or 50,000.
Yep.
Unrealistic numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and they haven't showed, like I said earlier, these games don't show a damn thing, but want your money, especially in these crypto gamers. I be wanting to support these games. They're so expensive.
Yeah.
Like they're catering to a whole new audience, selling $500,000 chips, and you never hear a word. And Star Atlas,
back in the day when the Pioneer was launched, the CIG was selling land claims for $50 and $100. Oh my God! You thought the world was going to end with the way people are complaining about that.
Oh, and like I said, these crypto games are doing that, and it's unreal. Like if you look at Star Atlas and how bad they fucked up, and they're pulling for money, because I wouldn't put money in right now. I want to buy a ship, but like I said, it's so out of whack. I can't even do. But they're so mismanaged. They lost majority of their money in FTX. And rule number one in crypto, you do not leave your money on the damn exchange. So talk about mismanagement. Why the hell would you leave that on exchange? And for people who don't know, let me break this down, because I know there's probably a lot of people who don't know what like crypto is. Where's my wallet? Okay, so real quick, I know I'm getting off track. This is how mismanaged it was.
You're getting off track.
And they didn't say, look, they didn't say a word about this. So here's a wallet, right? This is my wallet. This is my dollar. Okay, so let's act like the bank is the wallet or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I'm putting the money in there. Okay, $1. My money's protected up to $250,000 by law. It's insured, right? So right now, the crypto is the wild, wild west. So let's say I put this dollar into the bank and I want to buy, well, let's say I want to switch it for yen or something. I trust the bank to hold my dollar. With exchanges right now, there's no regulation in crypto. So I put money in there. They gave me some crypto. And if they go downhill, they keep my money. That's in exchange. So that's why you need to have a hot wallet built in your phone, or they got cold wallets. That's another separate device to hold your money on there. And Star Atlas team did not do that. They trusted the exchange, and you never do that. Once you buy it, you get it the hell off that exchange. Terribly mismanaged.
Well, they probably were trying to tap off the little 4% or 5% interest that they were getting keeping in the exchange, but like you said, it wasn't worth it in the end. They paid a high price for it.
You could do that in the DeFi wallet. You can do it in a ledger. I just bought me two. I got two ledgers coming in, because I don't even want to trust my hot wallet on my phone. I want it on my pocket. That's how paranoid I am. But that's how terribly mismanaged Star Atlas was, and we haven't heard anything. And I want that game to succeed because it looks cool as hell. And the ships, it looks amazing. The little stuff we did see, the showcase, but there's nothing on that.
The coverage is uneven.
It's unequal coverage.
Like $1 million for a ship, you barely hear peep. Star Citizen, they want to charge $50 or $100 for land claim. The world's going to end. So
Oh, let Star Citizen lose $20 or $30 million right now.
They go crazy.
It would be a shit show. These and Star Atlas lost what, 30 million, 40 million?
Well, they lost. We don't know exactly what they lost. They're quoting 15? They're quoting 15. They said they lost half their runway, but there's probably more money than that, because they've made more money than that. So we'll find out in time. Let's hit this next subject, guys. Hearsay. What gamers heard, either from forums, from friends, or from the media. They didn't do their own homework. They didn't do their own due diligence. But someone told them. Somebody's, Gio comes up to me and says, dude, have you heard this game named Star Citizen? And I decided to say, oh man, that game ain't nothing but a scam. And fastcart don't know nothing about it, but fastcart was curious. But he believes Griff because Griff is his friend. And so he says, oh, well, then he goes and tells somebody, yeah, well, Griff said it's a scam, right? I mean, a lot of it is just hearsay. It's not because people spend time. I've had so many people I've challenged who've done videos, and I say, have you played the game? If not, I will buy you a package. I will meet you in game just so you could try to get out. Not one person has ever taken me up on it, because they're usually talking about what they read from an article or what they've heard. They're not saying, oh, I was in the game, I tried it, I played it. They just make these videos. We're going to talk about why they make those videos in the next category. But what do you guys think about hearsay? People, gamers who just don't do the homework.
Heard a story of people looking for a particular trailer to show to their friends, to show to them that, especially like a cinema. You can do all this stuff in game. This is not a movie cinematic or anything. This is made by fans of the game. So yeah, it's really disappointing to hear, especially the hearsay. Like people still say it's a scam. It's been going on for 10 years. They made $500 million. They got over 800 employees. That's a long con if I ever heard one.
You know the one that gets me, Gio, and I hear people say this even today, and I hope I don't offend none of y'all. You know I love you for watching, but I almost can't stand when people say there's nothing to do in the game. Now, I'm going to tell you why I hate that, y'all. I will not dispute the fact that there's not much content, or that the content that's there isn't connected in some way. In other words, like the economy, things of that nature, or you've got a ship that doesn't function, you know, all of it's like we just recently got the Reclaimer, and now the Reclaimer
or tech demo too.
Yeah, or right, that's another phrase. Yeah, tech demo. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the aspect of gamer imagination in a sandbox. That's the thing that gets me going. Somebody quoted about Rexzilla. Those of you who remember Rexzilla, when he used to come into the game, Rexzilla would play that game almost every day of the week with 50 people, 40 people in a server, and they would have a blast every freaking day. Captain Richard goes out every day, not just because he's a content creator. He gets people that jump in line to jump in the servers with him to do all types of stuff almost every day. But then there's gamers who say, well, there's nothing to do. Now, maybe you can't do what it is you want to do. I'll give you that. Maybe you say, I want to be doing black market trading and it's not in the game. Okay, I give you that. But it's the folks who just kind of look at the whole thing of what Chris is creating and say, and tell other people there's nothing to do. Now, if you say, hey, I paid for a Pioneer and I want to go out and, build stuff, but it's not in the game. Hey, I get it. You're right. But it does bother me when there's that blanket statement, because when you say that to people, people think that the game is not delivering in any fashion whatsoever. But that's just me. Okay.
I don't know. That usually comes from people who've been here a while, though, too. They done burned themselves out. No, it ain't nothing to do. Well, you done did everything. You play it every damn day for the past 8 years. So now I see why you're probably saying, ain't nothing to do. You're probably bored out your mind. You done did everything.
Well, here's the deal. I'm watching people like right now. Now, don't get me wrong, Gio. Years ago, it was difficult. You really had to push yourself to do stuff. But like I'm watching orgs now, like this one group called the Med. Oh God, they're called the, excuse me, I got them right here. Anybody seen these guys recently? I've been really digging them. Med Runners. The Med Runners have got they're like a group of players who they base themselves in a certain place and they respond to all medical calls in the game. They've got themselves in uniforms. They got themselves organized. You got people like Mongrel Squad who's out there doing piracy and they're churning it out left and right all the time. There are people who are finding ways to take even what little we have right now and go out there. Racing is blowing up right now. People are getting into the racing thing. XGR, we saw what happened with Daymar this weekend. So true enough, I guess my thing is that some people just don't know about what it means to be in a sandbox. If you want to wait around for CIG to give you stuff in your Moby Glass all the time, you're missing the point of a sandbox. Sandbox is about getting together with your friends, partnering, contacting organizations, figuring out ways to make iterative gameplay that you can create on your own. And you ain't got to be in every day. Like I agree with Gio, don't be in every day trying to do it because you're going to wear yourself out over 8 years. But you can go out and find fun things to do in the verse if you really want to, as a gamer, Okay.
Well, people, that's the funny thing we hear say. People say, oh, well, I heard that game's a scam or they don't do that. When I hear people say that, I'm like, okay, well, he don't even want to do research. Ain't even no point in even talking to him because if you're gonna be that ignorant and dumb, ain't no point even trying to win those people over. They'll see it on the release day, and they'll be the same people hop their ass in the game when it's done. So
and that's what
eventually they'll be here. Just if they don't want to watch videos and research and watch streams to see what there's to do in game, then just let them be. Let them talk that ass hat talk.
And how often does CIG have dynamic events? Like we just had what was it? It was the
Orison, Siege of Orison this weekend.
Recently, so yeah, they do that. I want to say like every other month or almost every month now. They have a new, not a new, but they bring back a dynamic event. Like they have the Ninetales, they have the Xeno Threat and Siege of Orison, and I'm missing one. Oh, no, I'm missing one. But
and
yeah,
Ninetales.
so they have different events that they do.
Mm-hmm.
See, I haven't played any of those, so I got a lot waiting on me when I come in.
Oh, yeah.
I got shit to do when I come in because I haven't played it in 3 years. So
I'm gonna be honest with you.
cupcakes.
I've been in the game this whole time, and I haven't played everything in the game. There's some stuff I haven't touched, and I've tried not to because I'm just leaving it. But I find other things to do. So I'm sure there are some people who've done everything in the game too, though. So God bless you if you've done it all. Okay, let's go to these next two because these two are a little bit more controversial topics. We're on the last two of our 14, y'all, so we're knocking them down. Grifters. A grifter is a person who engages in petty or small-scale swindling. And let me give you an example of what I mean by that. There are media and content creators who consciously, I'm not talking about unconsciously, I'm saying consciously, they do it to make money off of the reads, the ads, and the clicks. That's why they're there. It's a topic that they can push a button on. They can either like you mentioned earlier, Gio, they can get hits, right? If they want to build their numbers up. And some of you all know, if you get enough hits, it's not the same as it used to be back in the day, but you can profit. You can make money, especially from ads and things that can come in from your YouTube page, right? From your Twitch page. You get some people who feel the same way that you do. And listen, let's not be naive. There are people who know there are people out there who have doubts about the game, and they feed that monster. They say what they say it in the bubble, so they know there are people who respond to it, and these people amen them with a sub, or they they go to a visit, or they follow, and these people make money off of that process. And it may not seem like a big deal, but understand, I'm not talking about the people who legitimately have critiques and complaints. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people who literally are doing it solely because they know there's an audience out there that they can make money off of. You guys got anything on that one?
I mean, well, I know I've seen a content creator do that before. As soon as he got his ship taken, his Idris M, he started making salty content, and he saw that he could get more clicks off making salt than making, pro videos. So now you got the whole Not Smart refugee camp and the Nay-say-ers and all that coming over there and watch your content. And they'll just know, like, let me just keep saying some bullshit, and that's what happens with some of these YouTubers now. And I don't know, it's unfortunate that you get caught up in that. I think some people who are pro Star Citizen, but sometimes get too far in critique, they start to lean to that side sometimes a lot more than, actually liking the game. So I don't know.
You gonna say FC?
I don't have anything for this one. Sorry.
No, you don't know no grifters, huh? You don't know no grifters. That's good.
I keep my peace on this one.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I mentioned that these last two were kind of like a different type of naysayer, but here's the other one: competitors. Now, if you guys haven't checked it out, I don't have the link for it in fastcart. I don't know if you have time to look it up. Montoya. Our good friend Montoya did a really good video a while back.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And it was, and he wasn't saying this is the case. He's saying, but it's something that we need to consider. That, and Gio, you touched on this a little bit earlier. Chris Roberts is trying to come in and do something different in the industry. He's trying to create not only a great game, but even the way games are being created in development. That in and of itself can be a threat to the gaming industry because you're basically breaking the mold. You're doing something that's done differently, and you're also shifting the power and the money into different hands. Those of you who know what distributors are, such as EA and other companies, a distributor's job is to do just that, to distribute the game, to get it out to the public. You could be a game developer. Me, fastcart, and VGO right now could create a game. It could be a really, really great game, and it's got a lot of potential, but we also don't have the finances and the wherewithal to advertise and to put that game into the hands of thousands, if not millions of gamers. So what do? We get in advance and we work with a publisher, and that publisher is the one who says, we'll give you money for that game and pay you for development, or we'll supplement that payment, and then we'll do the distribution for it. And they get a cut of that, getting that advertising, commercials, magazines, reviewers. They handle all that stuff, right? And they make money. And that's the way the industry works in general. Chris Roberts has kind of flipped the scale on that, to say, as a way of saying it. he has, first of all, not used any of those media outlets as a means to notify the gaming community of how his game is being done. It's actually being done by you, by the community, by your voices. He's utilizing free sources such as Twitch and YouTube and TikTok, things of that media platforms where information is going out to gamers. That's revenue that would have normally gone into the pocket of some publisher where that would have happened. And he's self-publishing the game. Now, all of that, if that becomes more than just an odd occurrence, but starts to become the norm, then it also becomes a threat to that industry. So when you have magazines, some of the ones we've mentioned, online publications, take a look and see who owns those publications. You may find that this particular publication you like listening to or reading is actually owned by one of the major publishing houses. And so therefore, the editors of there could possibly be thinking, I'm just picking a company. I'm not gonna pick a company. Y'all know who the publishing companies are out there. Right. One of those companies could tell their magazine, y'all need to do a hit piece on this particular piece. Because ultimately, if this game becomes something where other independents realize that they can make money, keep that money in their pockets, don't have to pay a publisher, figure out a way to do it with private investors, well, now you've started taking money out of those big companies. And so it's typical corporate stuff, business stuff. It's the way the world is. Companies push against each other all the time. I would not say we should be so naive to think that many of the naysayers and those negative voices that are out there may not possibly also being financed and fed by other companies, publishers, or whatever the case may be. Okay, that's my speech on that. You guys got anything in relation to competitors?
Yeah, I tried to looking up the video from Montoya, but there's several videos and I can't.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it.
Which one is the right one?
I'll see if I can find it while you're talking.
Yeah, it's basically saying you didn't try to name names, but yeah, basically some of the other game YouTubers there's several groups that they are financed by publishers, so they have a reason to make it seem like CIG or Star Citizen or Squadron 42 is bad, and you know they don't want other people to go independent and not make them money, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you got competitors also joining the space bandwagon because of Star Citizen. Look at Starfield.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, they did I don't know what kind of like interview they did, but it was basically a pillar talk. Mm-hmm. If you look at the interview that I don't know, Todd, whatever his name is, I don't know who does Bethesda. Mm-hmm. They basically had a pillar talk for Starfield. I'm like, dude, they're just copying everything that Star Citizen is doing. Like, you know, so a lot of these games are starting to see that. Star Atlas, I'm pretty sure they saw that, and basically, I think Star Atlas looked at Star Citizen and put an NFT form to it, because if you look at it, Chris Roberts was ahead of the game with this NFT stuff. These JPEGs, everyone was talking shit about JPEGs. NFTs came out, and we showed quiet on the JPEG talk now when people started making money off it now, right? So, you know, a visionary, that goes to show you how much ahead of the game Chris was. You know, because a lot of these games now, hey, you buy this NFT token, and you got access to this game. You could, you know, sell your car on there or whatever, this gun, and it's on the blockchain. So I bet you Chris probably was like, damn, I wish I probably could have got on that, because I could have probably charged way more money than what these dudes are charging, because I actually got something to show for. These other dudes ain't got nothing and asking, you know, $1 million for a damn ship and not getting no articles while I'm showing how much money I'm getting on my funding, and I'm taking all the arrows in the back while they're just, you know, they're kind of low under the radar and getting their money, because I don't know, because it's crypto or people are making money. They don't want to mess up the game. They don't want to put out no puppies, because like you said, they have an incentive for that game to do good and to start look at, you know, Star Citizen, make sure it's a mess, because they don't have any. There's no investors in Star Citizen, except for that one company that paid for the advertisement.
And you just reminded me, like, I haven't heard spaceship JPEGs in a long time. Like just now, the first time I heard that in a while. So yeah, things are changing for the better for Star Citizen and Squadron 42, but it's slow. It's slow going.
Yeah.
I mean, Griffin will tell you he has a ship in Star Atlas. I mean, he was making money off his ship. You know what I'm saying? How
Not
cool
much,
would that be?
yeah.
Well, yeah, not much, but it's the fact that it's this future of gaming coming up. And, you know, Chris realized that early on, people would like to own stuff in game and have their own ship and have their own cars. And this was what? You know, he started the funding in 2012. Here we are, 2023, and that's where gaming is going to. You have your wallet and you own this stuff in game. There is no Steam market where you earn a gun in Counter-Strike and sell it for 30,000. You have it on the blockchain and sell it wherever you want. It ain't got to be on Steam market. So, you know, I think Chris had a vision ahead of time, and a lot of these people are taking advantage now. Like, hey, I'm about to make the Star Citizen version of that on blockchain.
Yeah.
NFC version.
They even had the star in the title, right?
Yeah.
Star Atlas, Starfield. I mean, come on. I mean, ain't nobody done. We know what you're doing, especially Bethesda. When I saw those interviews, I wish we could pull that up. I'm like, dude, this is pillar talk. The quality, the production, and I mean, it's cool. I'm glad people are actually talking about their game, but it still ain't on the level of what Star Citizen talks about. I know people get mad. Even me sometimes. I miss the old days. They were more informative, but if they say too much, you know, here comes
and let's corporate.
Yeah, but the forum babies come on there. Oh, well, you said this paint job was gonna come out on the 3rd, and it's not there. You know, so now there's like, you know what? Now we're just shutting up more. Y'all ain't going. We're gonna get rid of the roadmap stuff. We ain't gonna give y'all nothing to bitch about. So now you just gotta sit back and get whatever we give you. Yeah, no more looking out 3-4 years in the future. Yeah. So a lot of stuff, you know, people always they're quiet. A lot of that is your fault because you ran on there bitching about everything, about the devs running on people's channels and getting interviews. A lot of people in the community ruin that for themselves. So we can't even, you know, talk to devs and stuff like that no more or get the videos that we want.
Yeah. Okay.
Griff?
Yeah, I'm done. Y'all hit it. I'm done. We got a question. This is from Pops in Space. He says, does the panel think gaslighting harms morale at work for the developers because it can go too far?
Sometimes.
Yeah, you know, Pops, we had the topic about gaslighting at the Content Creators Summit, and we really want to make sure we understand what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is a deliberate effort to manipulate people's opinions on a psychological level, right? It's deliberate, right? It's not because you say something, but it's intentional. And one of the things that we have to give, and I've learned this about the staff at CIG, particularly the community managers. First of all, you got to be very tough-skinned to be a community manager. They are very well trained, and they are used to everything. I mean, they're used to hearing it all. I used to kind of think like, oh, we got to be careful what we say around them. We don't want to get them upset. We don't want somebody to set them off. They know how to handle everything that is thrown at them, and they've been doing it for a while. And those of you who ever heard Jared, when he, you know, Jared has his way of like letting you know when you've kind of said some crazy stuff, but he does it in a very professional way, you know. And so I think that there's probably a little bit of insulation there. I think that when the devs go on the forums, because, you know, they've told us plenty of times that they go on the forums and they read, they watch live streams, they pay attention to what the community is saying, which is a great thing. But I think that they're big, you know, they're grown folk. And I'm sure there's some discouraging things that can be said, but I also think that they understand that this comes with the turf. I don't think anybody, you know, goes home and contemplates life afterward. But obviously anybody who's putting their heart and soul into anything, when someone says something negative to them, if it's critiquable and it's reasonable, you can say, well, I may not agree, but I get it. If it's hurtful or mean, I don't care who you are, you know, it can have some impact on you. They're still human beings, you know. You're gonna say fastcart?
I'm gonna make a joke that didn't take it seriously. Like, there's this one guy who said that the Odyssey is gonna be the cut color, and then he quit his job a few months later. Right? No, that's a joke. But on a serious matter, there are some, especially some YouTube comments when people go on inside Star Citizen or around the verse, and people will comment about particular dev, and then lo and behold, you would see that dev as often on the same show. So I think it does play it matters to a certain extent, but I don't know. I think they try to like warn people ahead of time, but before they go on, what to expect now.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Yeah. I'm not an inside person, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You know, Fastcart, you joke about that, but you know, I never thought about that. Like we see the same like 10, 15 people on Around the Star Citizen or Around the Verse, whatever the hell. I don't know what they call it now, whatever. But we see the same people, right. The same 15 people almost all the time. Like we'll see a couple new faces not here and there, but there's 500 people. That says a lot. They don't want to hop on the camera.
Now. 800.
Oh, my fault. 800. 800 people. We see the same people because some people are such asshats and you can't say anything. They'll hold on to any little word you say or a micro, or if you give a hint to something and run to the forums crying. And they probably like, hell with that. I don't even want to do an interview. And I can't even blame them. Who wants to go on a video and then, you know, they stutter or something. Oh, why is he stuttering? Why does he sound like that? Like, chill out. Just chill out and absorb the information. Don't take it as an absolute.
Well, you said it earlier, Gio. You said it's about managing expectations. That was the term you used earlier, and that's the thing that all of us have to do with all the excitement we have. And it's easy to get pumped up and fire up, but the reality is we all have to manage expectations and avoid the hype. I do want to comment on this picture that you guys see because I don't want people to think that I'm picking on Derek Smart. Before the show started, I mentioned to fastcart and Gio that I had been looking at past videos, doing research for the show. And I made a statement. I said there were some times when Derek Smart was right, but it was all within context of what Derek would say. I'll give you an example of one of the things he said. This was back in 2015, like 8 years ago. And one of the statements he made was the game that Chris Roberts is pitching cannot be made with today's technology. He was right. Couldn't be, because the tools were being made. They were creating the tools to do what Chris wanted to do. Much of Chris's conversation back then was visionary. As you mentioned earlier, Gio, it was about the vision of what he wanted to be able to accomplish. Another thing that he said, this game cannot be made unless they make $150 million. And then he raised the number later, I think to 200, then I think it got as high as $300 million. And CIG has achieved those monies, and true enough, we probably couldn't. If we stopped at $300 million, we'd had to stop a while ago. So there were some things that he said that were legit, but then there were some other things he said that weren't legit. He said that the FTC was going to come down on them and our terms of service was going to have them in court and people would be suing and they'd be giving people their money back. I mean, there were other things he said that were completely wrong. I think that my point is, we have to really be willing. Earlier I said we didn't want this to be a white knight. It's not a white knight thing. It's about being very fair and honest about what is taking place. Today, hopefully what you guys saw from us is that there are reasons why people from the beginning even to today may have had certain feelings about the development of Star Citizen. Some of them credible, some of them not credible, some of them ridiculous. Okay, in all those categories that people may feel about it. And it is our role as players when we play the game. Gio said it earlier. Some people, no matter what you say, it's not going to be until the game comes out that they're going to finally say, oh, they did do it. They did pull it off. There are people now who have left the game 3-4 years ago who are coming back now. There are people who have never seen the game, first time coming in, and they're enjoying the game. There are people who've been in the game since day one and continue to play the game. But we're not throwing rocks at anybody who has critiques or concerns or even disappointment. But we are saying that this is a roller coaster ride. This whole development thing is a roller coaster ride. And you got to have some good fortitude. Good fortitude. Hey, Chooch, good to see you, man. You got to have some good fortitude to go on this ride. And for some people, Gio,
thanks for the subscription.
They ain't got the kahunas. Let's just say that. They don't have it, right? I mean, just say that. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. Hey, don't stress yourself. Not over a game. I'll say that in a minute. Don't stress yourself out over a game.
Let me just say one thing real quick. I want to say, like, one of the famous quotes, I tried looking it up, but I couldn't find it. So I may be a little bit off. But I believe one of the things he said that the Pseudo Planet will take, a feature like that would take 10 years to make. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, CIG got it done in 3 months. So there's been time when he's been right, but most of the time he's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to give that asshat too much credit because it didn't take a game dev. Well, okay, let me say me. I looked at this game and I said, oh man, when I was researching, but I've been watching for months. Mm-hmm. So what they're trying to do nothing in the game industry is doing it right now. From that time even till now, I'm like, what they're trying to do in this tech is going to take, like, in my mind, I had 10, 15 years. I knew how long some games took. Like WoW, I think they said took 10 years to make, or what's that Rockstar? LA Noire took 10 years. So I'm like, if that had, state of the art technology, and they need state of the art technology, they're going to need that and some, probably, because they're a newer studio. So they got to.
And those are single player games.
And get more people.
And those are single player games, right? Yep. And we're doing two games simultaneously. Yeah.
And this is
not CIG, but yeah.
yeah. So they'll probably, never probably something like this will never happen again. That's why I understand why people want it to fail, because this game has so much tech and stuff going on for that we don't see in these AAA games. They're not even trying no more. I mean, how many Far Cries are there? How many Call of Duties are there? That just rinse and repeat. It's like the industry is not getting any better. I know Star Citizen kind of ruined it for me. I play games. I'm like, man, this shit is mid. Like, why can't you step it up and, make something? Like, last game I played, I was genuinely impressed, like I said, was Red Dead Redemption. I said, this is amazing. But it came from a veteran studio, and they have thousands of developers to even make that even go on. So, and one more thing I would like to say is with some of these content creators, it's sad that, new players will come in and they'll see some of these content creators that seem jaded. So they're like, I'm having fun with the game so far, but seeing you guys jaded, it's making me nervous. And it shouldn't be like that. They should, some of these guys should go back and look, see where the game came from, enjoy what's out right now, because if you're just now coming in now, boy, you're getting one hell of an experience for $40 versus some guys who waited way back in the day and had to wait for all this stuff to come in. So these newer people coming in now, this is like a perfect time for them. Buy some ships, get, find out about these new ship sales and get excited for it. They got a whole new market. I think that's where a lot of this new funding is going, because the last ship I bought, I haven't bought ships in a while, but the last ship I did buy was that what was that RSI one that just came out?
Scorpius.
Galaxy.
But before that, I haven't, like, I skipped out on a couple of ships. I used to buy a lot of ships. I've been slowing down, and I know some people may buy them for their channel to give away, but a lot of the OG guys ain't buying no more ships.
Right.
Or something amazing's got to come out. So this new funding, you don't want to, discourage some of these newer backers coming in and making the salty and mad content,
Well, that's what Chris said.
It's cool to be objective about it. Don't get me wrong, we definitely need objective content. There's some things that CIG does that pisses me off, like the in-store credit. That's you can't buy an LTI ship with in-store credit. I think that's still bullshit, and they said they were going to find a way around that 4 years ago. Still can't buy LTI ship with in-store credit. You get punished if you don't use new cash, quote unquote. So there's definitely things that CIG has to improve on, and that's welcomed. But if you're always every day miserable making content, it's time to take a step back.
That LTI credit thing is that's separate CLG. You used to be able to do it, but they're trying to bring in revenue now. Because if they kept it that way, old players like us would never buy anything new.
Well, but interestingly enough, to Gio's point though, most of the money, Chris's letter talked about how the bulk of the money now has shifted. And it is the new players, just like you said, Gio. It is those new faces that are coming in that are putting up that fresh cash now. Most of us old hats are melting. We've been doing the melting CCU game, but
for 10 years
these new
now.
folks, right? But these new folks, they're dropping the cash. The new folks are dropping the cash.
But it's the thing that they're missing out with me personally. They're missing out on money because I used to buy every damn ship and go back buy it, and I buy all my ships. Now you're missing out on money because now I'm not buying every ship. Since you need new cash, I'm like, all right, well, I'll sit this one out because I'll buy it with credit, come back, buy it, and I have a whole damn fleet. But I didn't slow down on that, so that's really. They played themselves on that with me.
Okay. Well, listen, we got one more from North End Trooper. The sad thing is everyone should be rooting for CIG and Star Citizen. If they fail, then it shows that we won't get to have a large MMO with server meshing, with the depth, lore, multiple layers of immersion, etc., etc. And to your point, I think that's a good point to end on. We understand why there's a lot of reasons why people can feel kind of blasé about a big dream, right? Because again, there's so much disappointment that's out there in general. But the other side of the coin to that is, as you mentioned, Northern, if they achieve this, they open up a brand new door, a whole new way of looking at gaming that we all benefit from. And it saddens me. And so those of you who've been on the show, watch the show, you've heard me say this before. It saddens me when gamers stop dreaming, when gamers stop wanting to push the envelope, when gamers, became satisfied with what the industry has been churning out. And I challenge you, if you're one of those people, think about it. Think about all the money you pay. Think about how the industry has kind of messed us up, pre-ordering games, and don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with pre-ordering a game if it works. But how many times do we get burned pre-ordering, paying $75, $100, game launches, can't get in servers, games are buggy, all this other stuff, and DLCs. I mean, we've just gotten used to them feeding us whatever they want, and we go from one thing to the next. I mean, they understand the dopamine thing, right? They know how to fire us up. And man, they used to play games, man, and you play a game for freaking 6 months to a year, now. Man, look at our Steam libraries. I got so many games in my Steam library. I don't even know how many games I got in my Steam library, So I'm just saying, as gamers, let's keep pushing that envelope and asking and demanding the developers create something that's different, that's challenging, and not get just comfortable in their laurels and comfortable with the money that they've made from us. So that's
why I don't understand. I like with people will jump to pre-order probably a broken ass AAA game, but they don't want to support a game like this that's building new tech.
It's too scary.
That's actually got the balls.
Too scary,
make
Gio.
Something.
Too scary, brother. It's easier to go with what we're comfortable with and what we know than something that's out there that's different.
Well, see, but I guess that's the difference between me and a lot of people. Because I saw this, I said I gotta support this because I was at a point where I'm like, am I getting too old for games or am I bored with them? I just don't know. But when I see something like Star Citizen come out, or I play other games like Tarkov or Red Dead Redemption, I'm like, oh, these are fun. These are some great games. So,
but how many you can count them on your hand, though, right? How many games make you feel that way nowadays? You know what I mean? You can count them on your hand. It's not like, it's thousands of games, but you can count on probably one hand the games that really make you feel that way.
No, I don't jump and buy every new game no more. Them days are long gone.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, once I see it, I'm like, thank God I didn't, because it looks like a disaster.
Yeah.
I watched the Video Games Award just to see the new trailer for the game coming out. There's only like a handful of games that really excite me when I watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Especially E3, because we know how tricky they can get. The E3 trailers and all that, they'll give you the smoke and pony show. That's why, E3, I'm so glad that thing's kind of like over with now, because a lot of those games they would show weren't half of what you would see. It would be, especially Ubisoft, but that was the main culprit. They'll show you something fire, and then you'll get something with trash graphics.
Okay, on that note,
you're right.
Yes, thank you, guys. So Fastcart and Gio, thanks, guys, for the comments and the questions that we got today too. Those were good. Let's see, Fastcart, would you introduce the Thursday and the Saturday show, and then I'll do the Sunday show.
Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. ETC, we have Soul Talk, where we talk what's going on in Star Citizen that we normally cover. Star Citizen Live, that's coming back, and we're going to cover ISC, that's also coming back. So look forward to that. That's Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. UTC. Then on Saturday, as part of Podcast Saturday, we have Soul Voices, where we also cover things going on in Star Citizen that week, except we cover Spectrum, Reddit, and something from the industry, and it's more of a one-on-one conversation, where Soul Talk is more of a group conversation. So that's Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, at 8 p.m. UTC.
Okay. And then next Sunday, we're going to be on Delivering the Goods. Those of you who know about Soft Death, the cargo refactor, we're going to be talking about that. We know everything's still in the PTU right now, Wave 1. For those of you who've been there and done it, you're probably really excited about all the prospects of it. It has been really fun. And those of you who haven't had a chance to mess around with it, we're going to share with you how we think that this stuff is going to now impact the game even more. The whole cargo refactor. People kind of thought cargo refactor wasn't going to be that big of a deal, but man, people are enjoying it, whether you're doing salvage, whether you're doing trade. So we're going to be talking about delivering the goods next next Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So be
man,
here for that.
I really hope cargo has meaning, because I remember I played Arcade, and like just making the cargo boxes. First, I had to farm the materials in the ground, actually farm it, then make it, and then actually deliver the cargo. That's all I would do. I wouldn't do combat, wouldn't do any of that. So I can't wait till Star Citizen, has that down pat where it actually takes time to load.
Oh, it does.
Plan your route out.
Oh yeah,
You dig in boxes. So yeah, I can't wait to hop in and try that out.
All right.
Take forever to load my BMM.
Yeah, that's going to be the subject for next week. So we hope that you guys can definitely be here with us next week. And other than that, I think that's it. I want to give a special thanks to fastcart for being here today. fastcart, thank you. Once again, we welcome Gio as part of our team. Glad to have him here. Y'all see Gio's got energy. So we're going to be able to have him come back, and we all thank you guys.
For the bits.
Yes. Oh, somebody Chooch. 1,000 bits. Thank you, Chooch. Thank you so much. Thank you for those who subbed today too.
Us three, we some real OGs, man. Like these dudes, like from the, I remember them from my channel from like back in the day, man. We like some true OGs, been in this forever. We're still fired up about the game. So I see we managed our expectations real well versus some of the other content creators. That's what I love about y'all, because you understood when you backed this game the level and how much money it was going to take to do this, and y'all don't be that salty like some other people. So I appreciate that about y'all when I be watching y'all shows.
Griffin, I don't know about you, but all I heard was how old we are. Did you hear that?
What I was going to say is that we all OGs, but there's two of us with gray hair and one of us without. So we know who managed their expectations better was that guy over there. I think more than we did. But
hey, hold on, man. I got a couple on the side I plucked out the other day, man. Don't let the hat fool you. I plucked a couple of them.
Fair enough. Well, listen, guys, we are going to send you guys out as always. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to do a raid over with Quelsar Prime. When you get over there, let Quelsar know that you came from Soul Citizens. If you like what you see, follow them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our merchandise. And as always, we love you guys. And we'll see you next week. Peace, love, and soul. Take care. Have a good week.